SCP-18790 is the item number. Anomaly name: artificial reanimation bacteria, or highly infectious zombism. Clearance level 1. Exit clearance level 5-18790. Containment class: Uncomer. Secondary class: Arinko. Disruption class: AK. Risk class: Danger. Threat level: Black. Special containment procedures: SCP-18790 specimens are to be kept in sealed containers locked in Site-1090. Wait, what? No. 1029. And said containers cannot be moved from their current area in case of possible damage of these containers, as that may activate SCP-18790 specimens' anomalous abilities. Any future site these specimens are contained are to have families of personnel stationed to be given amnestics. This is not to risk the wildly contagious nature of SCP-18790 species leading to a public outbreak. Cadavers aren't allowed to be in SCP-18790-A, B, or C infection zones. Personnel cannot leave the area where SCP-18790 is contained unless they have a special form of level 5 clearance known as 5-18790, of which they are permitted to leave as long as SCP-18790 specimens are manually removed from the brainstem. If these procedures do not succeed and the subjects escape the area's 1 mile radius, they are to be shot on sight. If somehow they return to civilization, any and all cities within 1 mile of the subject are to be struck with nuclear warheads along with the subject themselves. Dash-1s are to be neutralized, and anyone bitten by Dash-1s will have their affected limbs amputated to prevent infection. Termination is required if the affected part can't be cut off without killing the personnel if the infection has advanced enough to cause organ damage. SCP-2295 is required to fix the damaged organs. Afterwards, these personnel should be observed in case of unaccounted infection. In a case in personnel working on SCP-18790 suddenly perish, MTF Beta 7 should be sent to destroy the Dash-1 instances. These MTF are required to never leave SCP-18790's containment zone afterward, or to self-terminate and reduce the spread of the anomaly. Any cities that are too populated to detonate that are too close to Site 1029 are to be quarantined if SCP-18790-A, B, or somehow C escapes. This will last for 20 days, cutting off contact and supplies from the outside world, preferably until all residents perish from dehydration, starvation, etc. And all international instances should have died of starvation as well. If SCP-18790 species spread across the whole continent, the breach alerts will be sent to our personnel. SCP-2000 must be prepared immediately afterward. Bombing runs will be authorized on major cities, and the Ethics Committee will be disbanded. SCP-18789-J will be authorized to continue to research out in the wild. Description: SCP-18790 is a genus of 3 microbial species, which, despite their name, are types of xenobots. All of these anomalous pathogens are split up into categories to separate the species: SCP-18790-A, SCP-18790-B, and SCP-18790-C. These microbes have a common anomalous property, being a 1 mile infection zone. Any multicellular organism within the zone under certain conditions will have one of the anomalies materialize inside of them. SCP-18790-A and B microbes both have a zone that infects only creatures more intelligent than a 12-year-old human child, while SCP-18790 SCP-18790-C microbes do the exact opposite, only infecting animals below the intelligence of a 12-year-old human child. An actual just 12-year-old child may become immune to the infectious radius for life if exposed to it. Those affected still being researched, and only happens to 25% of children exposed. Sometimes a SCP-18790 microbe will create a new species via mitosis. The microbes that are materialized inside the life form within the infection requirements do not physically damage the host at all, instead being in a dormant state. But when the microbes materialize, a sudden sharp pain will occur in the abdomen, but never again. In a group, the closest person to the center will feel pain, while others will not. By group, it means anyone working together, going to the same place together, or any other psychological basis. There's a 0% fatality rate from the SCP-18790 species in this dormant state, unless activated from an immune response or death. When activated, the SCP-18790 microbe will start splitting into more of itself, dissolving the organs, creating a large structure that replaces those organs, and the host will be reanimated from 1 to 10 minutes after perishing, as long as there is enough nervous tissue. These reanimated, known as -1, can only perish by destruction of the brain or spine. Starvation may kill SCP-18790-A-1 and do not die from old age. These undead organisms will lose any disabilities of their living counterparts, including blindness, death, obviously, personality disorder, seizures, strokes, cardiovascular diseases or conditions, and limb dysfunction. They cannot touch, taste, or feel pain, but are able to smell, see, and hear, regardless of whether organs required for the senses are still present or not. -1 instances can hear with blocked ears, see while others are eaten by vultures. These are examples. Smell the olfactory bulb gone. It's supposed to say that. And other examples of anomalous senses. The saliva of -1 instances across all species have a property where it causes the process that is called infection. Where blood closest to the saliva, usually a bite wound, will have its water content converted to molecule 18790 TX. Hold on. That is similar to alcohol in composition, which can kill organs after being absorbed. This results in immediate heart, liver, and kidney death when the infected blood reaches those organs, as well as symptoms related to alcohol poisoning. Usually this process is 3 minutes long, and reanimation/conversion occurs at a more rapid rate. Sometimes while the infected host is still alive even. The active, dormant SCP-18790 microbes in these hosts and 1-1 instances still have the 1 mile infection zones, and since they are moving more infections, tests have shown that 18790-TX is responsible for the reanimation of dead hosts, and SCP-18790 microbes can directly secrete it when changing dead organisms into -1 instances. SCP-18790-A-1 is the only -1 that needs oxygen to continue functioning, despite the lungs being in a constant state of decomposition due to the SCP-18790-A organ structure. Without oxygen, SCP-18790-A-1 will go into dormancy before waking up when exposed to oxygen again and resuming normal function. This dormancy can last indefinitely. Fresh SCP-18790-A-1 instances can sometimes use objects to solve very simple problems, like using a brick to break down a locked door, to find more life forms, or even climbing a ladder. All decompositions will stop when SCP-18790-8 reanimation occurs, and SCP-18790-A-1s do not have smell. SCP-18790-A-1 instances have a metabolism 10.8 times faster than its living counterparts, starving to death in about 8 days without food. They are limited to simple brain functions such as bipedal motion or stasis, eating, grabbing sometimes, breathing, running sometimes, and climbing also sometimes. SCP-18790-A-1 will attempt to begin immediate consumption when in contact with flesh. It is attracted to the sights and smells of rotting/living flesh. This composition will be halted after SCP-18790-A-1 bites a living organism 4 times consistently, and suddenly lose all interest in the organism it has consistently bitten, even if still alive. Because they do not have a smell, SCP-18790-A-1s do not attack each other or any other -1 instances. Note: SCP-18790-A-1 instances do not have increased abilities like SCP-008-1s, being limited to what the living organism that reanimated into the SCP-18790-A-1 could do or sense. This means no increased strength or durability. As mentioned, there are exceptions such as overcoming blindness. SCP-18790-B only manifests in hosts with psychological disorder like depression, autism, OCD, ADHD, etc. SCP-18790-B-1 are always smiling due to the muscle structure being altered. These reanimated are also more intelligent than SCP-18790-A-1 instances, using simple weapons and tools like knives, handhold pistols, bats, small pipes, and stray pieces of shrapnel from grenades that didn't kill them. Like SCP-18790-A-1, these reanimated are slightly cannibalistic, but the more defining trait is homicidal tendencies. SCP-18790-B-1 instances will also visibly rot, unlike any other -1 instances, despite the rotting. SCP-18790-B-1 instances will have certain strengths and abilities strengthened or weakened from the original host organism. SCP-187-C-1 is a very dangerous type of -1. Having unusually long limbs and able to break bones with ease. This -1 is very aggressive and was discovered to consume even fellow -1 instances if left alone. The creature has red skin, no eyes, and acidic blood. Despite these health issues, the anomaly didn't seem bothered and can easily see things. This is a human instance of SCP-18790-C-1, while animal instances are far more common. They keep their usual traits besides the behavior of SCP-18790-A-1. The saliva of SCP-18790 18790-C-1 while causing red blood cells to have water content replaced with 18790-TX will also convert white blood cells into SCP-18790-A-1. Wait, no, just the SCP itself. SCP-18790-A. Though this effect only occurs in primates. Finally, SCP-18790 microbes don't need a host to survive, being dormant indefinitely. When inside a host, the SCP-18790 microbe will perish 1 hour after the brain is damaged beyond use, no matter if the host is a SC-1 or not. SCP-18790 microbes can be removed from a host manually, of which after a 20-minute period they will recontract the microbe within the infection zone again. Addendum. SCP-18790 was originally mislabeled as SCP-0729. And that's pretty much all there is. Besides this, a little more, which you can read yourself on Fandom. Oh yeah. This. And this is the normal SCP. Yeah, So I'll give you a quick summary of what I just read. As in, I made this, as you can tell here. I always make these freaking Walking Dead type things. So anyway, essentially, this anomaly, this is an entire genus of 3 creatures, at least 3 microbes, so to speak, I guess to say. And they all will cause they also all have an infection zone. Meaning, if you're in this infection zone, no matter how close you are to the actual person infected with it, or just some stray, part of the microbe on the ground, if you're within 1 mile of it, then you will instantly contract the disease, unless you have it already removed from you. So yeah, and it's such danger that whenever it escapes, it's all just nuclear warheads everywhere. Mainly because, did I say that was 3 minutes long? I forgot about that. I forget about that. So anyway, yeah. And also, the anomaly doesn't kill you. As it said, it's a 0% fatality rate on its own. Until you actually die from something and if your brain is still fine, then all your limbs will work again. Also, there are certain parts of this which you haven't seen. Like if you get your throat slit, then a part of the colony inside of you that is built of this microbe will just erupt and make you be able to breathe again. I mean, you'll still be a monster, or I guess a zombie. I mean, these are supposed to be zombies. And as we can see, they can run, unlike usual zombies. But that only happens sometimes, which will usually just be around when they first convert. See, look. Sometimes. And grabbing sometimes because, to make them be able to bite, the anomaly will just try to turn off the limbs, like arms and stuff, and control it whenever it needs to. And also, they can climb. when they still have function of their limbs before it's turned off so they can actually infect things. And by infect, we have the toxin itself, which, don't get it mistaken, the saliva of the anomalies do not contain the toxin. The saliva itself is anomalous and causes something else to have the toxin inside of it. So your blood will become toxic if the saliva ever touches it, but the saliva itself is normal composition and does not contain it. If you wanted to know. So it's essentially, if everyone was infected by this, it'd be pretty easily just infect a couple people near some large city and everyone will be instantly infected, considering it's a 1 mile radius. It's like from Bunnell to Gillespie. Everyone's infected in like 10 minutes. It's very easy. As we can tell, they need to prepare this, because we clone everyone again because everyone's going to die, because it's The Walking Dead, but worse. I don't know, would it be worse? It's essentially the same. You just die faster from a bite mark. And also you get converted faster from, a bite mark. You die in 10... So essentially, whenever you get bitten, you can cut off your arm very quickly, as we can see here. Because you'll die in 3 minutes if you're bitten. So you don't have that long to live. But if you're able to already be near a hospital, or like some random axe, you can cut off your limb before it actually touches the parts where you cannot cut off. I don't know, like your chest. Unless you're bitten on your chest, then you might as well kill yourself, because you're gonna die anyway. And as we can see here, even that may not work if it's too close to, like, your brain. Because sometimes you'll just turn into a zombie even while you're still freaking alive. So essentially, if you get bitten, you're probably going to die. Because I don't think you can cut off your arm fast enough before you die. Or you just don't die and you're still alive while being not in control of your own body. And you're still alive. Still alive. And then you slowly perish. Or I guess no, not slowly perish. And then you'll quickly starve to death. Which is probably how you run. Because you have a metabolism. Of course, since you probably won't be running that much, considering, if you have so much metabolism, you're gonna go slow, like, very quickly. Because there's gonna be barely any food you can eat. You're going to starve very quickly as a zombie. It's, Yep. So as we can tell here, and whenever you actually do die from something besides a bite, you will be a zombie in 10 minutes. So yeah, it's either you'll get bitten, turn into a zombie in 3 minutes. Well, If you're very unlucky, that is, because you'll still be alive if you do that. Or if you're slightly lucky, you'll die before that happens. So it'll take like 6 minutes for the entire process. 3 minutes to kill you, 3 minutes to resurrect you. Or I guess maybe 4 minutes for the whole process, considering, 1 minute. 1 minute. So yeah. Of course, if you shoot yourself in the head before any of that happens, well, you're gonna be fine. Or I guess as fine as possible when it's the SCP dimension. If anything, something else will kill you along the way. Maybe that's how you turn into a zombie in the first place if this happens. It's called you get shot in the heart. So, why am I rambling? And also, this entire thing is just examples of ways, and it's supposed to say with the in-factory bulb gone, but it doesn't. So essentially, if you become a zombie, nothing will stop you from killing something unless you get shot in the head. Because you can get your eyes plucked out by someone trying to survive, and you're going to still see the guy and be like, food. You can get your part of your brain torn out that makes you be able to smell. You're still gonna smell. Cut off your eardrums, cut out your eardrums. Just cut off your ears, put a Band-Aid over it, so there's nothing there. You're still gonna hear. Oh, your limbs are broken? They're gonna snap back into place. And they're gonna snap back into place. If you died from a seizure, well, you're not gonna have any more seizures. Died from a stroke, you're not gonna have a stroke. If you died from heart cancer or something. So yeah. We're all gonna die.